Welcome back to the Park Cinemas podcast. I'm your host, Miguel. I'm also the general manager of Park Cinemas, and I'm currently at the bar in the lobby before we open up for a private show. We have our first interview right after this. I'll talk to you guys about what's coming up. There's a lot of good movies I think coming up in the summer, but I think for that I'll have to be very specific and have a real good notebook set up for that kind of thing, so I can go a little bit more in detail. But for now, I'll make sure I get you guys the current showings of what's happening, and then we'll get into the interview with the guest. So the guest is Marty from Raboli, which right now we have San Simeon. I'm not going to say Raboli. Hold on. I think it's the San Antonio winery. It's over on the 46th. They have a couple locations, but the one I like to talk about a lot is the one on 46. That has the restaurant and the tasting room and a little gift shop on the side, which is really cool. He was able to come by. We sat down. We tasted the two wines we have at the theater for us. And they are the featured wine for the rest of May. So it is from Raboli Wines. His name is Marty Spate. He came in a few days ago. I'm recording this after the interview. But he came in a few days ago, and this is the week before Wine Festival. So he made time for me, and I'm super excited. I'm super thankful that he did that. And he's technically the first long-form interview for the Park Cinemas podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about what's coming out, or what is already out technically, since this is getting to you guys a little late. But nonetheless, if the big movie of the week, and that's supposed to be hopefully busy, I think. If you're familiar with Imaginary Friends, the thought of that, I think you're going to like this, in the sense of bringing back some childhood good memories, and the reason why kids might create an imaginary friend. It's definitely, it wasn't, if you're going into it expecting Ryan Reynolds to be 100% Ryan Reynolds, don't do that. He did an excellent job kind of toning it down a little bit, because it is a family kids movie. So I think a lot of the reviews, they might have felt that they were missing something. I think I'm hearing Rotten Tomatoes isn't being really fair, but the audience is great. I liked it. I watched it. It was really funny. We also got The Strangers Chapter 1, which is a horror thriller. Excuse me. And after the car breaks down, a couple driving across country to begin a new life in the Pacific Northwest is forced to spend the night in a secluded rental where they are terrorized from dusk till dawn by three masked strangers. Just another horror slasher kind of thing. Don't let them in if they knock on the door, please. And then this movie, I didn't hear much about it. I didn't know we were getting it until this last Monday. It's Back to Black. I like to think that I know somewhat what we're getting, but this one I just flew under the radar for me. Back to Black, starring Marissa Abella, Jack O'Connell, Eddie Marsan, Leslie Manville. I'll have to look at what else I've seen him in. The extraordinary story of Amy Winehouse's early rise to fame, from her early days in Camden through the making of her groundbreaking album, Back to Black, that catapulted Winehouse to global fame. So it's a biopic. I usually like biopics. I'm not too familiar with Amy Winehouse, so I'll have to read up a little bit on that before I try to somewhat have a thought about this one. So far, it's not too busy for it. So if you want to catch a more quiet room, come watch Back to Black, or just wait until the weekdays. It's up to you on what you like. I know a lot of people like to come the first show off Friday. Some people like to come in the middle of a rush, because it changes the feel of the movie. If everybody's laughing and everybody's scared, you're going to be laughing, you're going to be scared. So yeah, those are the three new movies. And I'm just going to stop talking, because I'm super excited for this interview. I'm joined by my buddy Walter, who actually is a co-host of another podcast we desperately need to get back to, called Two Dads in a Pod, and that's also available on Spotify. We had a little fun as two dads talking on a podcast. So check that out if you ever get a chance. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the interview, and I'll see you guys. I'll update you guys next week.
My name is Marty Spate. I'm the head winemaker for the Raboli Family of Wines. That includes the brand that we're going to see here today, San Simeon. We have several other estate brands that we make here in Paso Robles. Madalena, we have Highlands 41, and we have a brand called Opaque that focuses on kind of some of the unsung heroes of the red wine realm, where we've got things that are normally blenders in the background. We bring them forward and showcase them as single varietals. Then we have a small brand out of the Monterey County area called Windstream. We highlight Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and a very specific style there. Very small case quantities on that. You know, pretty cool to be able to do, you know, kind of big production stuff where we're you know, in grocery stores and fun stuff like that, and bars and retail outlets, but also to be doing really small production stuff, and really focusing on quality and delivering a high quality product for everyday consumers. So at an affordable price. So that's one of our big kind of, not mottos, so to speak, but one of the things that we really focus on is keeping the quality as high as we can and delivering that at a price point that's affordable for everyone. So, yeah. How long have you guys been around, I guess? So the family's been in business since 1917. So over 100 years now. Still family owned and operated. Fourth generation is well ensconced in management all throughout the whole spectrum of the company, which is really cool. I worked directly for the family, and they treat you like family, which is great. So always having that direct connection straight to the top, so to speak. And yeah, that's what I've noticed a lot about the wineries in this area. Like, if you go work for them, you're not just working for them. They're like bringing you dinner. They're like talking to you like you're like a human being. And then you go to like Albertsons. I'm not trying to throw Albertsons under the bus, but you go to other like big corporate places, and you can definitely tell the face. Yeah. On the employee is just like gone. They're just not there. But then you go to a wine tasting room, it's like, oh my God, Paso's so amazing because of this. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. It is part of our secret sauce here in Paso, I feel like, is that we still have that real familial connection up and down the management chain, so to speak. And that, to be able to, kind of exude that to the customer that's coming through the door is very important. Yeah, the family side of it is. So, did you say there was 2 locations? So we have well, there's our main winery, which is in its original spot from 1917 down in Los Angeles. So it is a state historic site, which is very cool. Awesome. Yeah. We still do some fermentation down there, and our bottling line is down there. We've got marketing and sales and accounts payable, accounts receivable, all that stuff you have to do to make a. Yeah. Well, you pay taxes too. So that type of spot where since 1917. Since 1917. Damn. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty awesome. So we've got that location. Then right. We have the tasting room off of 46 in Buena Vista, which is right across from. La Quinta's there, Allegretto. So you're going to Cuesta College. Yeah, exactly. You're right by the I've stopped by the restaurant a few times myself. Yep, Madalena's Bistro, recipes dating generous back. Portions. Yeah, very generous portions. Yes, the lasagna is huge. Yeah, I've actually made it to that restaurant just I think once. It was pretty good. Okay. Yeah. The while the menu still has some of those old traditional recipes on it still. It's had some updates to it, which is kind of fun. So there's some new fun vibe things on there, like filet mignon stir fry. We've got a lot of lot of different pizzas that we do there. So kind of thin.
I did have a
crispy
pizza.
crust.
Yeah, that was really good.
Cool.
I think it's as closest to like Italian pizza that I think anybody's gonna get in this area at least.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not a pizza aficionado by
Yeah, no, I'm not either. But I looked at it, I'm like, this looks like Italian pizza. You know, like
It's all flat, right?
super
It's like
flat.
really flat. Yeah.
Yeah, very very thin, crispy crust. Margarita style pizza.
Yeah.
Just the sauce and the basil and
The cheese and
dollops of
yeah.
mozzarella on there or whatever. So yeah, that's good. So yeah, we've got that location, and then where I have my office at is at the main production facility, which is behind Lowe's and Malahi Dodge back there off of Golden Hill, right before you drop into that RV resort behind us. It's right there on the corner. The production facility was built in 2016. We've got an event space there that holds about 250 people. We've got a full-size commercial kitchen. We use it for corporate events. We, have partners that come in and do their like annual, yearly updates with their customers and stuff. So we do get some events through there. We're not necessarily like a wedding venue per se.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
not the type of that's not the type of setup we are. Like we're in an industrial park. There's no pretty vineyards there to have your wedding, so to speak. Do that.
Okay, yeah. So it's a little different.
Yeah.
What's your? I mean, I've lived here my whole life, and I've never been wine tasting.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So
We're gonna have to change that.
yeah, we're gonna have to. I know. Right,
Right now.
Let's do that right now. Hey, perfect segue. Now.
Yes.
Yeah, while you guys talk, I can walk
Yeah,
around.
let's
Yeah, so
do
yeah,
that.
go ahead and-
Okay, so real quick, our first wine. This is our 2022 San Simeon Viognier. Everything that we do at the winery is estate grown and estate bottled. That means that we control the vineyards, we control the winery, we control the bottling process, and we're really able to control the quality of each individual wine from dirt to glass, so to speak.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
and that's a big key for us.
You said the vineyard is
So we have several vineyards throughout the Paso Robles area.
okay. Cool.
We also have quite a bit of acreage up in Monterey County, which is where our Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, White Riesling, and Pinot Grigio come from. But for Paso, we focus on the stuff that does really well in Paso. So we've got Rhone varieties, we've got traditional California varieties like Zinfandel, and we have Bordeaux varieties, Cabernet, Merlot, Cab Franc, etc. This particular one that we're going to taste right now is a Rhone white variety called Viognier. Beautiful, beautiful wine. I wish that it had a slightly different name to it because Viogner's biggest problem is the general American wine consumer can't pronounce it. And when they can't pronounce something, they typically shy away from it. So
Right.
there's definitely some education that we can be doing as a wine business because it is a very versatile grape. It grows in a lot of different areas throughout California. We think that it grows best here in Paso Robles. What we do with it is a little bit different than probably a lot of other wineries are doing is that we're 100% stainless steel fermented on
Okay.
this. So
Wow, okay.
no oak influence at all, as well as no malolactic influence. So for those out there, malolactic fermentation is what happens after the alcoholic fermentation. So the alcoholic fermentation happens first. We're using yeast to convert sugar into alcohol and other flavor attributes throughout the process. Once that's completed, typically we'll allow a second process to happen, and that's the conversion of malic acid into lactic acid, and that's the malolactic fermentation. And it will typically give you like a creamy, buttery type character. So
Right.
that's that characteristic that some folks utilize on big, robust Chardonnays. So this does not go through that process. So we're preserving that natural acidity. It's got good weight, it's got good viscosity, but it still has that natural acidity preserved in there. So it makes it a really versatile wine for a myriad of different types of food pairings, especially butter flavored popcorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
That's one thing I do like about it.
So should we
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do
You can
it.
pop it open. I got a couple glasses for you over there.
cool. Let me go here first. I'm gonna try not to hit the microphone here while I do this.
Thank you.
I know I need to get like a little coffee table right there. So we just.
I was thinking the same thing
Yeah.
too.
So what's the proper way to taste wine?
The proper way. Oh my gosh. So
You're basically teaching me at this point.
okay.
So yeah.
All right. I'll focus here.
There you go.
So first things is give it a little swirl. You can go clockwise, you can go counterclockwise, whichever you prefer. And then some folks like to kind of put it up in the light and look at what are called the legs that are coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a compound called glycerol. And it's a byproduct of the yeast doing their metabolic process where they're converting sugar into alcohol. Some yeast use, or some yeast end up giving you a little bit more glycerol in wines versus other yeast. And when we talk about yeast in the wine business, it's like saying a German Shepherd versus a Labrador versus a poodle or something like that. We're just utilizing those different species or strains of yeast, so to speak,
Right.
to produce different flavors and different mouthfeel. So once you've done that, kind of take a look at that. The glycerol is typically an indication of something that's going to have a good weight to it. It's going to have a good mouthfeel to it. And certain wines, you might not want a lot of glycerol in there because you're looking for something that's very light and elegant.
Okay.
This wine has a little bit more weight to it, so we look for the glycerol in it. So that's the first piece. And then depending on how you are feeling and what you're comfortable with, you can then get it kind of close to your nose right there, and just a kind of a slow intake through your nose.
Oh, okay.
Little when
So
you
then
do
it starts hitting.
yeah. So the idea is that when you're doing it slower, you're grabbing the aromatics in a fashion where you're just kind of drawing them across your receptors in your nose. And you can do it fast and quick if you want, but it's not as effective. Like the going a little bit slower is
So
the
this is where my sidetrack mind goes, right? I've seen people like show like TikTok or YouTube or something, or somebody celebrity. Because they're celebrity, they like highlight them testing the wine before they say yes, I'll take the bottle or the full glass, and they do everything really quickly.
Yes.
So that's not really recommended as far as that.
It depends on how comfortable you are. It depends on how deep you're getting into
Oh,
it.
okay.
Like I typically spend 30 seconds to a minute and a half trying to analyze what aromatically is going on in there. If I'm at a restaurant and I'm ready to pick a wine, then it's like, okay, I'm going to give it a quick cursory sniff initially just to make sure there's no flaws in it, basically.
Oh, okay.
So you can, after you've gone through it a couple of times, you can kind of tell, hey, the flaws typically are pretty overt. They're like, they're boom right in your face, and you can.
Oh, so that's more when they do that really quickly. It's more just to make sure, like,
it's very, very like
okay,
top level,
Right.
very high, kind of.
because my wine went to like, oh man, they're so snotty or something. Like,
But that's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's like, there's a.
No,
I was like,
so-
okay, do I need to make an accent when I'm doing this? Too?
and depending on who you talk to, some folks say, you got to get your nose all the way in there, like get way down deep inside there, because within that glass, so there are aromatics that are kind of evolving off of the wine and being trapped inside the bowl of the glass. So the shape of the glass, the composition of the material that makes the glass, all of that kind of dictates how you're going to perceive this wine. So that's why in nice restaurants you see a white wine glass and you see a red wine glass, and in really nice restaurants you see a differentiation between different white styles of glasses and different red style of glasses too. So all of that kind of goes into the science behind how those aromatics are perceived by our noses. So for this works just fine, by the way.
yeah, I was thinking about it just now. I was like, oh man, I messed up. I should have had something with a stem, because apparently the temperature of your hand changes it too.
Yeah.
Like all these things, right?
All these things, but
I was holding like
world-
this whole
This
time.
is fine.
So, yeah, you're a little like that.
the world is becoming more and more stemless, and it works too for general for general wine enjoyment,
Right.
the stemless glass is
when
is
in
just
doubt,
fine.
pinky out, right?
No, I mean,
When in doubt,
if
pinky
you want.
out.
Sure. So
which,
so
which
that's,
pinky? Just kidding.
either both of them. I guess.
Let's,
So yeah, so you've given it a little sniff. You're like, okay,
Okay.
yeah, no,
All right.
I like the smells that I'm getting here, and then it's putting just gonna put a little bit on the tongue and kind of move it around inside your mouth, kind of like this. So letting it kind of touch all the different surfaces of your tongue. You've got all the different flavor receptors throughout the different spaces on your tongue. You want the wine to kind of hit all of those, and then at a certain point, if you're professionally tasting and you're doing, like, we'll sit down and we'll do 20, 30 wines in one sitting, you're spitting every time, because otherwise
that's right.
You're drunk.
otherwise you're just
I learned that the hard way a little bit.
Was it about like the second time you're like, okay.
To me, I was like, I don't want to waste it.
Yeah.
True, I hear you. Good wine is you don't want to waste good wine,
But if you're tasting it, definitely
Yeah.
spit bucket is ideal.
Yeah.
You said this one particularly goes almost with everything. Is there a wide variety of things?
I like to say that our Viognier is a very versatile white wine. Yeah. So.
In your personal opinion, what's the best thing that you've had it with?
I'm a big salad at lunch type of person.
Okay.
So we have a seared shrimp citrus salad that we serve at the bistro, and I feel like this is one of the best ones to put
To
it
go
with
with it, yeah.
for white wines. Yeah. Go. So then just kind of let that round, and then go ahead and swallow, and then you've got kind of the what's called the aftertaste. Yeah. A little bit of the aromatics are still in your throat and in your mouth at that point. You can kind of still have a lingering finish is what you're looking for on certain wines. Some wines you just want quick and done, and it's it's something you're having at the patio or the barbecue or whatever have you.
I'll admit it's pretty smooth.
Oh,
It's really smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
for a white wine, I've always enjoyed the Viognier for sure. Oh,
Okay.
this one for sure.
Yeah, this
And
one's just really smooth.
There's a couple other ones out there, but it's once I learned the word too, I'm like, do you have any Viognier?
Viognier.
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 Yeah.
Viognier.
I feel like we should come up with a spell out version of it, something that makes it easy for the general
Well,
wine.
we
Like
could-
Viognier.
Or you can like spell it
Viognier.
out. That was a little bouncy ball. That goes
Yeah,
with
there
it.
you go.
All right, do that motion. V.
V.
Yay.
Do it the other way.
Oh, V O yay.
I'm not gonna promise anything, but I'll try.
We'll try that. We'll try that out. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's and Viognier is one of the ones where, like, once you know it kind of thing, right?
Yep.
But then there's other ones that, like, words that I never knew even existed sometimes when I come across, right?
That's the biggest challenge I feel like with breaking out of the standard mold of the top five
Cab,
varieties. Cab,
Chardonnay, and then beyond that, like, people start going like, "Oh, what's that?
Merlot,
Where's that
Pinot
from?"
Noir.
Right. Yeah.
and then you've got the whole red blend trend,
Petite-
which we do.
Yeah,
So.
and then Syrah, Petite Syrah. I mean, difference between those.
different varieties. So
Yeah.
you're talking German Shepherd versus Labrador again.
Oh,
So
okay.
Right,
they are actually
Yeah.
different. They
Is it the make? Is it how you make it? So it makes it a little different.
No, it's the grape variety is
Oh, okay.
physically
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
So it looks different. The leaf is different. The clusters look different. The berry
Right.
size is different.
Different species of
Yeah,
grape, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Syrah is just a word like that to explain a little bit of it, right? Like, because Syrah. I don't know why I'm thinking about that. Right?
That's what I was thinking. Yes,
Syrah,
yes,
Syrah,
Syrah.
Okay, Syrah. Yeah. I am not a genealogical tracer of
Greek
DNA,
words, root words.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's some relation there somewhere where they had some parentage or lineage where there was some crossover, but
Yeah.
they are two different varieties.
Right.
Two different varieties. So.
On the scale of like high quality wine versus, I guess, a lower wine, where would Viognier?
Viognier.
Sorry, see, I'll get it. I'll get it by the end of the show.
You're getting there, Walter. You're getting there.
Viognier. Where would this one lie?
I mean, it all depends on your personal individual scale. So,
Yeah.
I think as a variety, I'm I'm kind of an equal opportunist when it comes to that. I don't think that there's any one variety out there that is a more premium variety than others.
Right.
It's all about how you make it in the winery and how you know what style you're after for that particular consumer.
Yeah, I was talking to Tommy at Wine Boss, and we were talking about like how, because I have my own wine label with him, since he does private labeling.
Cool.
I call it Lights, Camera, Action. I work at the movie theater.
Yep.
And I'm getting, I ran out of Tempranillo, but I'm getting Petit Verdot and more Sauvignon Blanc to sell at the theater.
Cool.
But shameless plug there. But we were talking about it because I was asking
here's a bottle
people were
right here.
asking me questions about the wine and how it's made and all that stuff, and you know what inspired. And I'm like, look, I'm pretty straightforward, but for the most part, like the design of the bottle and he did give me a few options. I'm like, I like this one better, but somebody else might like the Chenin Blanc instead, you know?
Yeah.
And we started talking more about that, and I pretty much just, the only connection I can make for people to really understand it more when we're explaining it is art.
Yes.
It's very art subjective,
very
like what you think about it.
Yes.
That's why when like we're asking like, oh, what do you think? Like we can make recommendations, but at the same time, like movies, I don't know if you're gonna like this one.
Right. Like
You know?
some people.
Yeah, I like Green Lantern.
Right? Yeah. Like some speaking of Green Lanterns, some people love Deadpool.
Yeah,
Others look
other
at it
people
and go,
hate
oh
and
my
despise it. Yeah.
gosh, yes.
They really do.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember when it
Oh,
came
yeah.
out. I remember when it came out. Like it was pretty big. But then again, I mean, as a nerd myself, I freaking love that movie.
I think any media is good media. So if they're talking bad about it and they're getting a
Yes.
lot of that also affects it too, right?
The whole object. Yeah, I've never really understood the whole thing of hate watching. And I
Then don't watch it.
I know
Don't
it
watch
bugs the hell out of me. It's like
Yeah.
I get it, but I guess we're in this age where you talk about it now. It has to be something
Right.
because everybody has a voice
You
now.
gotta stir the pot.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, everybody
Yeah.
has a voice. Everybody's online, so
Yeah. No, I with the Viognier that you guys have, like it's one of those things like I didn't know I liked this art, you know, like
Right.
you know, because I've seen movies and videos where like the character doesn't care about art, but then he'll stand in front of that one piece for like the longest time, like because it's speaking
Right.
to him. It's like
Right.
the weirdest thing, right? And this is what I find a lot of times with the wine. Some people's wine not so much. Some people's wine, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm starting to like a lot of wines.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad problem, but
Well, I mean, we're in Paso Robles. I think it's a good problem.
Yeah, it's a good problem to
it's a
have.
good
Yeah.
problem to have, yeah.
Yeah. Do you recommend it chilled or room temperature's okay?
I would say for myself personally, most white wines I like to serve at what we kind of call like cellar temperature.
Okay.
So like below 55 degrees, but not necessarily like refrigerator temperature. Like you don't want it as cold as a beer. You don't want it as cold as a soda. It tends to trap a lot of the flavors in the wine, and you actually get more out of it by having it at that slightly warmer temperature. It's all your personal preference, though. I mean, and when it's 110 degrees outside in Paso Robles, you're like,
Anything cold tastes good.
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is why you sell more white wine during summer, red wines during winter. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
But if you have a room temperature controlled room, you know, I mean, you can have anything in there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So,
Right on.
This is good wine. I really like
you.
it.
And I
I'm already
really
done
like
with
this
it. I'll have to finish that bottle later. I did have I don't have it with us here, but I did have one of the rosés that you guys poured in the rosé that you guys poured.
fun. Yeah.
And I brought it for Mother's Day for my wife. She didn't like it, but I was like bottle deep in 1 hour. I'm like, this is good. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
But then again, she likes more of like the fizzy,
Oh, yeah.
like,
there you go.
you know, mocktails and yeah.
I mean, that's why there's so many wines out there on the shelves, right? There's a wine out there for somebody.
Everybody, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just having people experiment and try different wines, and like trying a Viognier or trying a Chenin Blanc and saying, oh, that's different. That speaks to me. That's what I prefer to drink. So back to your question earlier, Walter, about the varietal, how it rates on a scale for me. Over the history that I've been in the wine business, I've made, I don't know, it's probably 35 or 40 different varieties that are pretty known throughout most of California as like grape varieties that work and do very well in the grape growing situations here in California. And I don't know if I have like one or two that are up there at the top of my list where I'm like, I have to do this. This is the only wine that I drink. I'm definitely an equal opportunity wine drinker
Okay,
when it comes
yeah.
to that. And I think because we have, at San Antonio Winery, we do produce 30 some odd different varieties. So you kind of have to be open to that. Open-minded about that. We do some really fun and funky stuff like Alianico and Alicante Boucher, and we have an Italian varietal on one of our ranches called Lambrusco de Alessandria, which is this really, really dark Italian red variety that has nothing to do with Lambrusco, the sweet native variety from the East Coast. And then everything in between, Cab, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Syrah, Petit Verdot, Malbec, Tannat, Cab Franc. I'm missing a bunch.
You said 33, so
30 some odd varieties.
30 some odd, yeah.
I will say though, like just and kind of like we were talking about parenting earlier and being dads, and I've got 3 boys. You have 3
kids.
3
2
kids.
girls, one boy.
2 girls, 1 boy. Okay. And
I have 2 girls.
You have 2 girls.
One's about to be a year old, and the other one's 4.5.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
You're in the thick of it.
Mhm.
Okay. So I like to say that just like at home, I don't
Pick a favorite.
I don't have a favorite.
Yeah.
I don't have a.
You might lean on one more.
Yeah, exactly. Just same thing. Because when you're as involved with the winemaking as I like to be, they are kind of your children. So it's like this is my vintage that I put out every
Right.
year, and I
Right.
put out there for the general wine consumer to judge and determine whether or not they like it or not. And so there's a part of me that's like, ooh, what are they gonna say?
Obviously, you're passionate in what you do, so it's they'll kind of like go on with it.
But if I had to say like, hey, I have a couple of varieties that I personally prefer. This is not a company slogan or anything, but I personally prefer.
It's actually a pretty good slogan.
I really do enjoy both the varieties that we have sitting up here today, which is Syrah and Viognier. So there's Viognier is a kind of a later in my career love affair. Syrah has been there from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So as a young fledgling winemaker, Syrah was one of the very first varieties that I explored and kind of dove into 24 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I kind of quote unquote graduated out of
Wine school.
white Zinfandels and mellow Burgundies and things like that, and got away from like the generic red blends and started like actually fine tuning down at the varietal level. Like what do I remember the most about that time period? 20 plus years ago is Syrah still comes back to me. It's like there's this light at the end of the tunnel that every harvest I'm kind of trying to reach towards and make that wine that I tasted, 20 plus years ago and go, that is still the shining star at the end of the road. And
You can't go wrong, kind of, if you go back to it, kind of thing.
yeah, it's not just that. It's more of like it's like that aspirational goal that you're reaching for every year, and I haven't gotten there yet, which is why I keep doing what I do.
You're bringing for it, yeah.
So it's like I don't get bored by it, because I know next year Mother Nature is going to give us something different, and we're going to try it all over again. So that's really a cool part of the wine business, is that it changes every year. You don't have the same components that you had the year before. Because the growing season is different. Even if you're tracking your weather and you're tracking your rainfall and you're tracking your hours of sunlight, it's different. There's no 2 vintages that are 100% identical.
So is there a favorite year in Syrah that you made that you would, if you can think of one? Yeah,
that's tough. There's a couple, probably late 2000s. So 2009 would have been a really fun one for me. And then 2015, 2016, and then more recently 2022. So, which is not in bottle yet.
Right.
Well, we're still letting it mellow in the barrels. So, but it's coming.
What about those years that kind of like shine some of the other ones?
Yeah, it's like it's the fruit expression. It's the balance between the acidity and the tannins that just kind of hones that in, and then beyond that, it gets to be like the little micro expression of certain aromatics that I look for in Syrah. Pepper, a meatiness to it. Syrah has a particular compound in there that kind of gives you the impression of this kind of
Like
meat.
a steak?
No, it's more like salami. It's like
Salami?
cured meats.
Yeah.
And that's it's what makes it so much fun, in my opinion, because then you've got all the different growing areas throughout Paso Robles, and each one of those growing areas expresses that a little bit differently. So not, even though it might be the same vintage, depending on which vineyard we're talking about, one vineyard expresses it one way and one of our other vineyards expresses it a completely different way.
Right.
So it's the same thing, and all the varietals are like that, but Syrah for some reason just like really, really shows it off. So
Yeah, we have at the theater some Eberly wine, and their reds. Every time I open them, I start pouring for a customer. I'm just like, their red somehow like just lingers there for a second once you open it, and I'm like, that smells so good.
Yes.
Other people are, if you're not a wine person, you're gonna think it just smells like really like thick, hard wine,
Just
like thick wine
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is aromatic to it. That just, those finger cartoons that like pull your nose towards like
Yes.
where the source is coming from.
Yeah. You're like, oh,
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm like, I gotta have a
train.
glass later.
yeah, very cool. Should we crack the Syrah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, no, let's do that one.
Corkscrew there.
Cool.
And I don't have I think, let me see if I have an extra cup so in case you guys don't want to finish it.
Go, Miguel. Finish the wine. Perfect. Thanks, Miguel.
Cool.
I don't normally do this sitting down, so we'll see how this goes.
Better.
Perfect. Yeah, I got to get you some of our corkscrews.
Oh yeah. That's just the one that extra they gave me.
For those of you listening out in podcast land, we got the corkscrew in, and
Here we go.
Here we go. There we go. Hopefully that caught it.
Yeah, we've done that a couple times.
Yeah, we did.
Like we're in mid conversation. I'm over here trying to open it. It's like, oh, by the way, guys, hold on. Bop.
You got to be careful sometimes, though, because if you tilt it the wrong way, like that, when that vacuum gets released out of there, it'll like reverse some of the wine out of the bottle.
Oh, hasn't happened yet.
All right, so let's use Walter. Let's use that as like
The dump.
A dump.
Oh, sure. Okay, let me go. All right.
There we go.
I'll just dump that over here too then.
There we go. Cool. Okay. This is our 2020 Paso Robles Syrah. This particular vintage came from one of our vineyards in the El Pomar district, which is kind of as you head east out of Templeton. It's one of the districts that we have found and grows reds really, really well. We do grow a little bit of whites out there too, but Bordeaux reds and Rhone reds seem to do really well out there. There's quite a bit of calcareous soils profiles out there.
We learned a little bit about that at the hospitality.
Oh, yeah,
Or
yeah.
not was it the hospitality? On top of it? Yeah, there was a couple things that happened. And it was kind of cool because it acted like a sponge, not a sponge,
Yes,
but
exactly.
bubbles came out of the
Yes.
damn rock.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. It acts as water retention, but it also helps with pH balance in the juice after you kind of turn it into wine. So you get a natural acidity buffer out of that, and it kind of helps with some of the smoothness of the wines too. So this wine spent about 16 months in French and American oak. predominantly French barrels. And of that, we had about 60% of those barrels were brand new. So all of our, so opposite to the Viognier, where we're not putting in that in elk, all of our red wines see barrel time. It's a big piece of what we do. It's a big piece of our kind of quality aspect. We fully believe that utilizing barrels is the key to keeping the quality high and keeping it the right flavor profile there for the customer. So
I actually really enjoy the fact that he taught us, or at least taught me, how to smell this, because it can actually I can now finally tell the difference now.
right, yeah. So
I really like the smell of this.
There's a little bit of baking spice in there, and that's an influence from the barrel.
Okay.
So when a barrel is made by a cooper, so they're made at cooperages. When the cooper is putting the barrel together, they put it typically over top of a oak fired, kind of chimney sitting there in the center of it, and then they rotate it around, and it toasts the inside of the barrel. And depending on what the winemaker's request is for that barrel, that could be lightly toasted, it could be standard toast, it could be medium plus toast, all the way up to heavy toast. Depending on what type of flavor you're looking to impart into your wine, that ultimately and ideally we're picking a barrel that balances and kind of complements the wine instead of sitting on top of it. So we've done probably 17 to 18 years of trialing different cooperages throughout the world, and we've landed on kind of our core group of barrels that we do that we buy from. Most of them come from France, but we do purchase from American coopers here that use American oak trees, so stuff that's grown in like Missouri or Minnesota or Virginia. Our California oaks here in Paso Robles do not grow the correct direction to make a barrel out of. They're beautiful to look at, but they're not tall and straight, so they would not make a very good barrel. But the species of oak that comes out of Missouri and those other spots I mentioned, those grow straight and they grow tall, and then you get a good couple of barrels out of each tree, basically. So
it's a new fun fact I didn't know.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
So it in
the more you know.
The more you know.
The more you know.
In the forests in France are predominantly controlled by the French government, and it's a lottery system. And for every tree that we harvest for barrels, there's at least 2 to 3 being replanted. It's all part of the cycle of sustainability. Being able to have that source as many years in the future as we can. It takes almost 200 years to grow a tree tall enough to harvest for barrels. So when you're talking about that, like
that's insane.
You and I, our children, our children's children will not see those planted trees be harvested yet. That's the crazy part behind it.
How many barrels can you make on like a good harvested tree?
Oh gosh, I didn't 4.
Oh, okay.
5, something like that. So it's not a small number. It all depends on the tree, depends on the quality of how it grew, depends on rainfall that throughout its life. And,
a lot of weather is into this business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think the harder the weather, the more you get out of things, right? For plants specifically.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've read somewhere that a tree that grew somewhere where there's a lot of wind, it grew more roots, so it doesn't tip over. But in the biodome, or like in a dome-like environment, you tip over a tree and it falls right over.
Pauly Shore, 1996.
Yeah, that's what I think. I didn't read it. I saw it. But it makes sense. There was one time I was driving to and from Lemoore because I used to manage the theater over there, 45 minutes south of Fresno.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of weeds growing on the side of the road. And my buddy that I was driving one time with, he goes, how hard those things are going to be hard to take, how hard they're going to be to take out because of how deep they had to grow so they don't like get blown away by the cars. I'm like, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So they adapt, right?
Yeah.
So, that's crazy.
plants are resilient. Mother Nature is resilient. It's
Yeah. I have seen that National Geographic bit where it takes like maybe 100 years for plants to just completely grow over everything if we disappear.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long.
Yeah, I was recently down in Los Angeles visiting our winery down there and doing some sales tours around Orange County and LA County, and I drove this particular path because the freeway was really messed up, which is not uncommon. But I'd never been on this road before. I've been going to LA for work for a number of years and never been on this road. And it took me by an old city park that had been basically the completely fenced off, and you could see the driveways going in and out and the entrances going in and out, but very, very kind of
a jungle.
Akin to what you're saying is like the asphalt was like what you could tell from the street side where you had this big, like almost like triple wide entrance in and out. It was at a point where that had now encroached down and you could barely get one car in and out there. And then the grass was growing up through the cracks and like taking over.
Yeah.
So it's, Mother Nature has a way of reclaiming herself, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like it's kind of like a eerie, creepy thought when you think about it. It's like, oh, we've been here so long and we've been destroying the planet to a certain point,
Right.
But it can repair itself if we're just gone.
Right.
I mean, you guys remember how it was when we were indoors for like a year or like less than a year, and everything else just started like,
Oh yeah.
all of a sudden there's a bunch of ducks and ponds, and
Well, apparently there's dolphins over in Italy, like where they have the guys with the boat. What's it called?
and
is that Venice?
Venice. Yeah.
Venice.
You know how like it's always like muddy because they're always kicking up the dirt on the ground, right? And then all of a sudden it's clear and you can see all the fishes in there, and then like a dolphin ran through. I'm like, what?
Wow, that's cool.
That's how clear and clean it was. Nothing happening to it other than natural.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
And it was like within the first couple months that like the stay-at-home order like was issued, just everything just flourished all over again. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. But
Yeah.
this is an amazing red.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a red guy, I guess, because but it's really, really good.
Thank you.
I honestly never really knew what I was, but I'd honestly have to say probably the red right now is my the one that I'm going with, the Syrah. Yeah.
I go back and forth. Depends on what kind of day I've had.
Right.
Depends on what what smells are coming from the kitchen as I get home, and dinner's starting to get rolling.
I guess speaking of dinner, what about the Syrah? What does that pair well with?
I would go something meaty, something hearty.
Meat pizza.
Little bit of Santa Maria style. Try to.
That's actually I could see that. That sounds really, really good.
Some grilled garlic bread, a little rice pilaf.
I mean, it is almost lunchtime.
It is almost lunchtime, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like any
full belly's right around the corner, right?
That is true. Yeah.
That's funny. I feel like a lot of the conversations I have that are longer than like what is it right now? Oh, we're 49 minutes.
Wow.
When it's usually longer than like 20 minutes, at some point food is somehow injected into that conversation. I don't know why. I think it's just
well, because you chose 11 o'clock.
I know that's true.
Is true.
I did choose lunchtime, but since this is a Park Cinemas podcast, what's the last movie you watched in a movie theater? Forget streaming.
In a movie theater, not streaming. Dune 2.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was so good.
You don't have to answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. What theater?
I was actually
this one.
I was
somewhere in a Tuscadero.
I was actually in Chicago on a road trip for sales, and I had an evening to kill, and I'm like, well,
you happen to have 3 hours on you.
Yeah. I had 3.5 hours. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go eat some sushi, and then what am I gonna do after that? I'm gonna go watch Dune 2. Because there was a theater like right around the corner from my hotel in downtown Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. Everybody said, okay, don't be careful walking around too much after dark because there's still some shady stuff happening in Chicago. But I'm like, okay, well, what about the movie theater? Like right around? Oh no, you're fine. Right next door, you're fine. You're fine.
You heard that first. Movie theater is fine.
That's right.
in a really dark neighborhood.
Movie theaters off limits.
Movie theaters are off limits.
What's up in Batman? But that's a
Oh yeah.
Right. Too soon.
Too soon. Too dark.
Sorry, guys.
If I were to have something I was looking forward to, definitely Deadpool was.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah.
That's a long time coming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
I
like
can't wait for that one.
the opportunities there for all these cameos.
Yeah,
It's just.
So Deadpool, I think Deadpool is still the youngest Marvel character that has been written. He was like in the 90s or something when he first started popping up.
Yep.
yeah.
And I didn't know too much about him. I knew he would appear like in the Spider-Man cartoons.
He
The,
did.
the newer ones, the ones with
was,
like they're like really cartoonish. Like
it was
not
Drake,
cartoon,
Drake,
but,
the Drake Bell one.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
the one that
Oh,
he was,
yeah.
he was,
Yeah, he's the
he was
voice.
voicing
but
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
That's
Yeah.
what
So I remember
I
him
watched
popping
it,
up
so-
in there. I'm like, oh, he's like Wolverine, and then they explain, oh, he's like Wolverine. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that's awesome. And then when I heard Deadpool movie is going to coming out with Ryan Reynolds, and I'm like, God, this is going to be a good movie.
Yes.
I started looking into it, like YouTube, Google, like who's this guy? How deep does it go? Like as far as the Marvel universe, and I came across Deadpool kills the Marvel universe.
That's a very good storyline. I love
And that
one.
would be an amazing movie.
That would be a very one.
And
Yeah.
I hope they're like building up towards something,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
If anybody's at this point, I'm going to nerd out. So
Bring it.
if anybody's familiar with a lot of the storylines with comic books and stuff, Old Man Logan. There's an Old Man Logan one, which was kind of the
like
Logan movie, the one that's called
Yes,
Logan.
Yes. Yeah.
It was kind of like that.
Okay.
The comic book version was like really dark. Wasteland. Like it was Wasteland.
Hulk's kids.
Oh my
ate
God,
his
all the-
family. And it's like this some crazy.
No,
stuff.
no. That not only that, the Hulklings were. God, it gets.
They're like
very-
hillbilly Hulks.
Yeah, they're hillbilly Hulks, and you can just imagine how that happens.
Yep.
Hillbillies.
Yep.
Yep. I don't have to say it unless you want me to.
You don't have to.
But anyway, so yeah, they're that, and of course it's revolves around Wolverine or Logan as he's getting old. All the X-Men are dead. As a matter of fact, all like superheroes are gone as well.
Yeah.
And it's just controlled by villains.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Logan yet. I'm now interested. I need to
Perfect.
go back.
The Logan movie is not really like that. Like the comic book kind of
Okay.
took inspiration from it. I highly recommend Logan movie. It's probably
Okay.
like at that point.
I think
It's
they're
not
going to
technically-
reference it too a little bit.
They probably will. At that
'Cause
point, it was like the best X-Men movie. I really had to check it out.
Because it was finally a rated R.
It was rated R.
Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine
Right.
movie. I mean, he
Right.
just goes berserk. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, which is apparently a thing it's called, right? Berserker?
Berserker mode. Yeah, Berserker. Yeah.
that's pretty much what he does.
But anyway, going back to I guess this new Deadpool Wolverine movie. As for the trailers, there is a lot of wastelandish style stuff there
Yes,
that
I
looks a
love that.
lot like it was from the comic book, which I'm
Yeah.
very excited for.
Yeah, I know Disney's flexing a lot since they took 20th Century Fox for sure.
I mean, I'm actually, I'm really glad that Disney is kind of letting certain properties be what they were. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously there's money in that. Because
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
tone it down, you change it, you're gonna lose anybody who was.
Just look at Star Wars Episode 1.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I had to go there.
The pod racing was cool.
Pod racing
Okay,
cool.
pod
Pod
but
racing was
was cool.
amazing. The game that came out of it was really
Yeah, that was
cool.
pretty cool.
My,
And-
my boys love that game. It's incredible.
I'll be completely honest with you guys. That was the very first Star Wars movie I ever seen.
Introduced to really?
It was I didn't know. Well, I didn't know
I saw-
Star Wars.
I saw-
Like,
I
what
was-
Mexican family's gonna know Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yeah,
um,
yeah. So
Estrellas.
like, I didn't know Star Wars. You know, sorry guys. Sorry, I don't know how unhinged we're supposed to be, but here we go.
I put explicit on there just in
Okay,
case.
Oh, okay, good.
So we're fine.
Okay, I was like
Yeah.
Park Cinemas. Oh yeah, kids might be. My bad.
Oh, Park. Oops. Let's instead of Blippy, let's put Park Cinemas.
Remember how I said that you can probably put this on before the screen airs? You know, maybe I guess.
PG-13 or more.
Yeah,
Better.
maybe we can.
There you go.
Red Venture.
But anyway, yeah, that was the first Star Wars movie I've ever seen. I admit the beginning was like super boring, but the pod racing was heavily emphasized in the trailers.
Yep.
And the video game came out, and I was like, oh yeah, this looks kind of cool. Yeah, for the record, Empire is still my favorite.
Okay.
Empire
fair
Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I went back and rewatched them all, and I can say that Star Wars is awesome. So
Yeah. No, the Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, I think everybody's just been waiting for it.
yeah, I mean the fact that he was able to get Hugh Jackman back after he was essentially done being
Right.
Wolverine.
I mean, did
Right.
Hugh Jackman ever technically leave? Because I feel like the promos
here's
before he
here's
said
the
he's
thing.
leaving.
I mean, here's the thing. As how it goes today, I feel like there's a shock value in everything that an actor can say, whether it's Robert Downey Jr. saying, I am no longer Iron Man.
Right.
Or Tobey Maguire saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to be in the new
I'm not going to be in it. Exactly.
Where'd you hear that?
Venom 3?
Yeah, I mean,
you never know.
God. But like, we don't know how their careers can go after that. Maybe they are done.
Right.
Maybe it's that. But it almost sometimes seems like either it's the right price or it's the right project.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see lives of these actors or what they tweet and whatever, and they might be done. Just like we are. We might be done. I mean, at one point you might be done with a certain Syrah. Like you said, you're trying to grasp on the one. Let's say you get it. Would you be there? I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
But if the right project comes around, it's like, okay, they might still feel a little more like.
Are there certain varietals that you guys kind of like tried but didn't really fit in your like idea of lineup? Like,
well, that's a good question.
like you know what I'm saying? Like, there's always that one. Like, I don't know what's a name we haven't said.
I mean, like a lemon for a car.
Like Merlot was a big thing because of Sideways.
Yeah.
Right, and then all of a sudden nobody wanted to buy Merlot. Is that the case? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Sideways kind of killed Merlot for a little bit.
Yeah.
But now Merlot's making a resurgence.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So I personally like Merlot as well, and I actually seek it out when I go sit down at a restaurant and look through the wine list. I'm like, I'll have a glass of your Merlot, please, because there's 15 there's 15 Cabernets on there.
I think it's funny. As soon as something goes away for a while, there's that whole like, hey, you remember Merlot?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And
well, it's like movie theaters. Like it went away for a while because of the whole pandemic, and now we're like busier than pre-pandemic.
That's great.
On certain movies.
That's great.
Which is insane because I'm like, I'm not ready for it. I need staff. I need.
I mean, if this is a life lesson, it's take a break every once in a while and then go back to whatever
reset.
project. Yeah, hit reset. We're all. I feel like as humans now, we're even more go than we used to be, especially with everybody being online.
Yeah,
everything's going.
If it's
online,
that constant feed.
Yeah. Online sales. Do you guys have online sales? Like,
we do.
Do you see that at all? Like, oh, it went up 2020 because everybody wanted to get drunk, or
nobody could leave.
Responsibly enjoy wine.
Yeah, responsibly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Drink responsibly, people.
Drink responsibly. Yeah, please. I mean, we still have a reasonable online presence. It is definitely not our main focus. Our main focus is building relationships with folks like you and in the restaurants down around the square. Building relationships with the key wine buyers at our local liquor stores and wine shops. That is still it. But we do offer it because we know that there's still that person that's like, hey, I don't really feel like going to the store and seeing people, but I still want to get my Viognier.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. That's that's part of what kind of the DTC or e-shopping side of our business is meant for. So, as well as the folks that might not necessarily live here in California,
right?
They've came here, they've tasted our wines, and they go back to their home state and they're like, hey, I really want that Viognier. Yeah. And they log into SanAntonioWinery.com and go under San Simeon and go, boom, there it is, and get your 6-bottle pack and get it shipped to wherever you're going. So,
am I right that there's a few states that don't?
There is, yeah, and I used to know those states. I don't know them anymore, but yeah, there's a couple of them that have
really strict or non-available shipping. Yeah.
It's strange. It goes back to kind of either pre-prohibition rules and or rules that were developed coming out of prohibition to protect certain states and certain things. It's really very political, and I don't claim to understand it. I have theories about it. I'm not going to talk theories.
Because I've gone to like certain websites. I'm like, not everything except ...
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I wonder why. And then that question pops up. I'm not saying like I'm going to live there one day and I want to order wine. It's just one of those things where I think curiosity.
I could be completely wrong. But I think Hawaii is one of those states.
Yeah, I think Hawaii.
Vermont.
I want to say Texas too, but I could be wrong. Probably not Texas.
I don't think.
I I think Texas is.
Texas is open. Yeah. I can see Hawaii though, because they a lot of their money is local. Like they want to keep everything local, right?
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's like imported there, or as from what I hear, is like a lot of the snacks and foods and stuff like that, and even those are really pricey once they get in.
Yeah.
Try to order a Coke at a restaurant, you're paying like $20 for a Coke. It's insane.
Whenever I think about like prohibition times in Enlisted, I'm still thinking that those places are still all old timey. Like you said, it's Vermont. You know?
Yeah, right.
Oh, you don't have that cheap alcohol now, do you?
Yeah, 12 years of no commercially available alcohol.
Wow, that's crazy.
I couldn't even imagine that. So
it brought out a lot of amazing innovations, though. NASCAR was I guess a big thing.
Yeah.
They souped up their cars so the police couldn't catch them because they were hauling moonshine. And then on the downtime they're like, yeah, we have fast cars now, so let's go make left turns. So
we gotta do something with all this
on dirt tracks,
right? Yeah, dirt tracks. But no, I think a lot of like during the Great Depression, obviously a really tough time. The stock market was terrible,
Yep.
But we got fast food out of it. And like people got creative on how to make to-go food rather than dine-in food,
Yeah.
Same
pandemic, everybody became bakers.
Everybody got a Cricut machine. Yeah. People and I think it's one of those like silver linings where like you find things that you didn't know you would find unless this happened, right? Is there something that has happened to the business that you go like, we never knew we were going to do this unless it did?
Not specifically having to do with like wine as a product, but like from a stylistic perspective, I think we found that there is a consumer out there still that wants to enjoy wine, but maybe not necessarily know how to approach it. So we have a small brand that we import out of Italy. That's not part of any of our Paso Robles or Monterey production, but it talks to people in a different way. It's marketed slightly differently. And we've found that it kind of draws in a completely different type of wine consumer than what you would traditionally see at a tasting room, and it's been a really, really fun adventure with that brand, because we're able to do things that are not what your traditional wines are doing. It's totally playing up on the fruit flavors aspect of it, and really highlighting that when we're presenting that wine to a prospective customer, and literally putting on the bottle, hey, blueberry.
Yeah.
And guess what? Because of the way it's made, we're following a very specific, strict guidelines on how we do this. We put a little bit of blueberry flavor in that wine, and it becomes a kind of a specialty type wine product, but it speaks to a certain wine consumer, and I mean you can't deny the draw of bringing new people into the wine business.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I think also what helps, what I think personally helps you guys a lot is having all the varietals. You touch on every single person one way or another.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what's going to make you even more of a success.
You'll draw them in, and then they'll hopefully like move on to the other stuff aside from what the specialty one is.
Yeah. When I first moved back from Lemoore in 2016, it was what was it? Pinot Noir at Assumption Ridge at the tasting room when they were downtown.
Yep.
I wasn't a wine guy, but that was it felt like a light red that I started off with.
Yeah.
And then they started showing me Petite Syrah. Like Petite is what I started aiming for. And then after that, it opened the floodgates to like the Cabernets and, the Tempranillo and the thicker ones, But I was just like, oh my God. But it's like right now when you did the tasting, it's the white wine first.
Yep.
And then the red.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. No. We're showing we're starting with If this weekend.
Cool.
Right? If it stands for Imaginary Friends.
Imaginary Friends, yep.
Has John Krasinski as a director, Ryan Reynolds from Deadpool as one of the main stars.
Steve Carell's in there too.
Steve Carell's voicing. There's a lot of voices. I can't go down the list right now, but there's a lot of voiceovers that are like very...
a lot of big names.
But a lot of big names.
Yeah. I was shocked when I saw the
I know.
bill, and I was like, whoa.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, but then the movie's only projected to do like 40 million, which is like modest for the weekend. Now anything 100 and above is going to be a blockbuster.
Right.
But it's just one of those things where, like, I think a good example is Barbie. When that came out,
I have not seen it yet. I've not seen it yet.
We weren't expecting it to be busy. It came out during the fair. The fair is our time to take some time off because it sucks up all the business from downtown.
Right.
We were slammed with Barbenheimer, you know? And
I know
it's
it's funny how that happened. Like, it just became big because of,
yeah.
I mean,
it was an accidental good marketing thing that they did, and then they lean on it, of course.
Yeah.
But I was just like, it was insane how much business we did there. So that's what I'm thinking about. That's why I see those reports of that we get on my end on what they think they're gonna do,
the projections,
projections and all stuff, and I'm just like, this is gonna do good, this is gonna do bad, this is gonna do, like, I start having my own sense of like opinion kind of thing, and I think If might do better than 40 million, but that's just on me.
Right.
And then we have this other movies called Strangers Chapter 1. It's a horror film. It's very like strangers at the door kind of situation. Like, you know, don't let them in. They have masks, whatever, something like that. And then another one's Back to Black.
No idea.
I scheduled it in. It's starting this weekend. I just haven't read the synopsis, so I don't even know what it's about. And I'm just like, Jesus. But no, the big one is going to be Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah.
And that comes out during the fair. So again, I don't get time off.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think the fair is just so much more packed now. Everybody's like, oh, forget it.
Let's go to the movies.
Let's go to the movies.
Yeah. We get this, you know.
Well, they don't maybe, or they don't want to pay the $100 for the tickets to go see the concert or whatever it is.
Yeah, there you go. That's another one.
Fair has grown. I remember free concerts, like big names, Neo, you know. Wow. But
War used to come all the time for free, weren't they?
I don't know, probably. Journey.
There you go.
Ever since Kiss, man, they started like charging up that. Like,
Raven Simone came for free too.
Oh, she did?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know why I remember that. I just do. I swear there's a gang of people there that one day.
That's funny.
I mean, I think it was around that time Cheetah Girls was like big. Raven, That's So Raven was on there.
Yeah.
So this is our childhood here. So
that's all good. Yeah, Not So Raven. Wow.
That's So Raven. Do you guys ever try to participate besides the Wine Fest coming up this weekend?
Wine Fest is this weekend.
Oh my God! Yeah, let's talk about mention a little bit about that.
So Wine Fest this weekend, noon to 4:30 ish at the Paso Robles Events Center, aka Mid-State Fairgrounds. We will be there amongst countless other Paso Robles wineries. There's several breweries that are going to be there. Last year they started engaging with some of the local distilleries too, which is really cool. So we're gonna have a table there. We'll be pouring San Simeon, Opaque, and some Madalena wines. And then we also have a spot in the VIP space this year, which is kind of cool. So we're gonna share that with Ancient Peaks. So they pre-sold the VIP tickets, and there's only 300 of those. So we've got like a really focused group of consumers there at that point. But I believe I heard the event is almost sold out, and they've got 2,500 tickets out there. So
wow,
Jesus,
yeah, it's gonna be really cool. And they started experimenting with this a couple of years ago, and they've kind of fully bought into it, and which I really support is the local food truck scene that they bring on site. So
yeah.
Excuse me. I think a few years ago they just got kind of like the vibe from everybody, like, hey, we really like some fun food here too. Like this is great. We're enjoying the wine, but let's have some fun food here. So I don't know how many they're gonna have here, a dozen, something like that, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So, and then other upcoming events specifically for San Antonio Winery. Go to sanantoniowinery.com and click on locations, and then click Paso Robles, and then from there click on events. that'll get you to our events page, the stuff that we're doing here locally. So coming up in June, we have a comedy night that we're doing on June 8th.
First one?
It might be our first one. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't get it. I take care of the winemaking.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The one event that I do get involved in is the event the weekend after that, which is wine and paella. We're hosting it at at the winery. So there's still tickets available for both of those. The wine and paella one I think is going to be super killer. That's going to be fun. I love paella. It's just it's kind of like winemaking. You've got to have a passion for cooking to do paella because it takes like 8 hours.
It's a whole variety of like stuff that goes in there, right?
Yeah. It is not a throw everything in the dish and throw it in the oven type thing. It's a true labor of love, as with most cooking is that we do here on the Central Coast. But it's one of those things that's really, really intense. So and it typically takes a good, solid, well worked group of people to do it. You got to have a good team to make that happen. So yeah, those are two big ones that are coming up, and then we'll probably end up doing something at the Mid-State Fair. We try and work with J&L and do kind of a feature thing there every once in a while. And then after that, possibly doing the Winemakers Cook-Off in August. So which is the big fundraiser.
Yeah, with Tyler Lawrence, or what was his name? Tyler Florence.
Tyler Florence. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be huge.
Paso's just getting crazy.
I know it is.
man.
I didn't know that
There's so many things happening for Paso.
Yeah. So that's good. That's gonna be fun. The Winemakers Cook-Off is something that's been done for a number of years.
Okay.
I think I might be misspeaking, but I think Gary Eberly started, kind of helped get that rolling 15, 20 years ago, maybe. They may be celebrating their 18th, 19th annual type thing. So
that's insane. Yeah, no, if you ever mention Gary started something or helped start something, you just go to it. It's gonna be a great
event. Yeah, it's gonna be a great event. So
that's awesome, man. We still have bottles because you guys are featured for the month of May. So we still have some bottles. If people like it, for some reason they want to buy a bottle at the theater unopened, they can do that now too. We just found out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And they can take it home with
them?
them?
They can take it home.
Oh.
Yeah,
sweet. Yeah.
We did. I mean, if we knew that like last year,
oh my gosh.
We would the Taste of Downtown, we would have done it, all this stuff. But now we got to, definitely market that up. But I've had some people buy last month we had Opolo. This month we have you guys. So I've had a few people buy the bottle and take it to go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, hopefully this is the first of many times because we've got five other brands still that we can do some highlighting on.
Talk to Megan, talk her.
Talk to Megan.
Hey, put us in the rotation at some point again.
Right. Shameless plug, right?
Shameless plug. No, she's doing a wonderful job, and I'll send her a text so who's next? And she has 3 people lined up.
That's cool. That is cool.
Just in case, because the first month we were like, I want this person. Or I had a recommendation because they did try one time, but they didn't have a online site yet.
Oh, okay.
And so let's bring them back. But then now they're too busy for But that's how life works with the wine industry. You get swamped right now. Yeah. You're busy today. This week.
Yeah, this week.
For you to cut out an hour and change.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. No, thank you for the opportunity for doing this. It's anytime I can get out and talk about what the family does and what we do from a winemaking perspective and grape growing perspective here, it's pretty special. So it's been I've been in the business for 24 years now, and can't tell you how much I enjoy working for this organization. It's been really, it's not, and I shouldn't say organization. It is a family operation.
Yeah, right.
And, when you get the phone calls, you get the very personalized hey, how's this going? How are you? It's the family part is first, the business part is second. So,
right.
Which is pretty killer. So
yeah, I think that's what's helped a lot of businesses in Paso, especially pandemic, especially with bigger companies coming in.
Yeah.
The family family style.
Yeah, the community also is a big part of it. Yep. I mean, damn, everybody knows each other one way or another.
Yep.
Yeah.
7 degrees of separation to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned when you walked up before coming in here, I was like, oh, I remember seeing you because that's how small this town is. At some, there's people from the guy who runs Fetch, the teleportation service,
Teleportation.
We're
there now.
Beat me up,
Yeah,
Scotty.
he's really good.
Instant
Transportation. Transmission.
Instant transmission.
Transportation. Like, I remember when he was starting, and then now like I saw him again not too long ago somewhere else. I'm like, yeah, I remember when you went to this like conference thing with about business, and it's like, oh, I don't remember you. I'm like, oh, great.
All right, well, never mind.
Appreciate it, but he's still around. He's still doing good. But like, it's just that small community of like each other kind of thing. Or if you don't know that person, you've at least met the person they know.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know that guy, and I know that guy, and that's how we connected.
Yeah, it's insane. Well, thanks
Networking
again.
at its
Thank you
finest.
guys. Yeah, and if you
How do people
go ahead.
one more time just to make sure, like, in case people tuned in after, like, who are you? How do they find you? And
gotta do the little recap.
recap.
I'm Marty. We are San Simeon Estate Wines of San Antonio Winery. So that's San Antonio Winery's the overarching umbrella. It's the Raboli Family Estates, and we have about 1,200 acres here in Paso Robles, 800 in Monterey County. We are estate grown, estate bottled. Our production facilities here in Paso, our tasting rooms off of Buena Vista and 46. You can find us at sanantoniowinery.com. Click on the locations tab and click on Paso Robles after that, and that'll get you to our events page for the specific stuff here in Paso Robles. And we are the featured winery at the Park Cinema off of the square here in Paso Robles for the rest of the month. And we're currently serving San Simeon there as one of our brands. I think that covers it.
And that covers it.
I think that's it. Yeah.
And if you two guys fire back up your dad.
We'll definitely bring.
We'll definitely
we'll bring you as a
there.
dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll definitely bring you on there.
We'll talk about completely
Because you made that comments like, oh, you're in the thick of it. I'm like, you don't want to. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll definitely talk about that. There's plenty to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep you in touch for that.
Appreciate it, guys.
Well, thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Thank
Thanks a
you
lot.
very much.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it, and let's go sell some wine and make people happy.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the pointers.
What
on
what was the
wine. I learned
slogan
something
again?
today.
My personal. Oh, what, did we say something? Oh God, I wanted to end it with that, and I told myself.
Something about this is my personal opinion and not does not relate to any.
Something like that. Oh man! It'll come, as I'm driving to work right now. It's gonna hit me in the head. I'm like,
all it takes is just going. You got to reverse back to like minute 39, 41.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna watch the whole thing again. Yeah. Well, thank you, man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Nice meeting you.
All right. Nice to meet you as well.